There's a new player on the field, a molecule generating significant buzz in the weight loss and metabolic health space. You've probably heard whispers about it already. We're going to unpack it all. Our focus today is Retatrutide. It's an investigational drug, getting a ton of attention, right, from researchers, clinicians, the public.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely making waves.
And the why now is super important here. It's not actually available yet for general use.
Not at all. It's still deep in clinical investigation, undergoing those really rigorous trials.
Right. But understanding what it is, how it works, what the early data suggests, even now at this early stage, it can help you cut through all the online hype, and it also helps you have much more informed conversations with your own doctor down the line whenever you're ready for those talks. Being well informed means you're prepared. Okay, but first, a crucial note. This is really vital because we are talking about medications here. This deep dive is for educational purposes only. Never, ever personal medical advice. Please remember that. Think of this as your knowledge booster, okay? Your shortcut to being well informed about the science. It's not a prescription pad, not a treatment recommendation. You absolutely always need to check in with your own licensed healthcare provider before making any decisions about medications. For yourself, for anyone else. Your health journey is unique.
Exactly. This is really about understanding the cutting-edge science as it develops. Like you said, Retatrutide isn't even approved yet. It's still deep in investigation. It hasn't passed all those regulatory hurdles. So our goal here is to give you that foundational knowledge, sort of set the stage for what might be a pretty significant shift in how we approach metabolic health.
Yeah, exactly. So our mission today, give you the fast track to being well informed about Retatrutide. We're going to meticulously break down what it is, how its unique triple action mechanism works. What the early clinical trial data suggests, both the good stuff, efficacy, and the side effects,
right,
and how it stacks up against other medications you might already be familiar with in this space.
Yeah.
No medical jargon overload, promise. Just clear, concise facts presented in a way that really connects the dots. We want you to walk away feeling like you've got a solid grasp on what this drug might mean for the future and maybe what questions to ask.
And we'll definitely explore the why it matters for you and also for the broader medical landscape. We'll help connect those dots, offer that deeper context, the nuance you might not get from just a quick news headline or a social media post. We're aiming for those aha moments where information turns into real understanding.
Love that. Okay, if this kind of clear, evidence-based deep dive helps you think clear about these complex topics, go ahead and tap that like button right now. Seriously, it tells us these breakdowns are hitting the mark for you. It encourages us to keep making them. It's our feedback loop. All right, let's get right into the heart of it. Okay, so let's unpack this. We hear this name, Retatrutide, buzzing around. But what exactly is it? What's under the hood here that makes it so unique and honestly sounds so promising?
That's the fundamental question, isn't it? And it's where the story really starts to get interesting. At its core, Retatrutide is what we call a triple-agonist drug candidate.
Triple-agonist. Yeah, sounds technical. Break that down for us.
Yeah. It does sound a bit technical, but let's make it make sense. Imagine your body has various metabolic pathways, right? And each pathway has a specific door or receptor. Now, other medications in this class might have a key for one door, maybe two doors, Retatrutide. It's like having a master key. It doesn't just unlock one or two doors, but three distinct doors at the same time.
Whoa, okay, a master key for 3 doors?
Exactly. Each of these doors is a different hormone receptor, and when they're activated, they each trigger specific but complementary metabolic responses. This multi-pronged approach. That's precisely why it's generating so much excitement.
I love that analogy, the master key. So for our listeners who are already kind of following this space, they probably know some of these pathways. What are these 3 crucial receptors that Retatrutide is hitting?
Okay, the first one is probably the most widely known right now, especially with the newer weight management meds. It's the GLP-1 receptor. GLP-1 stands for glucagon-like peptide 1. Its function is absolutely crucial for appetite control and glucose regulation. When those GLP-1 receptors get activated, it sends direct signals up to your brain, signals that contribute to a really powerful sense of satiety.
Satiety, feeling full.
Exactly, feeling full sooner and staying full longer, which naturally tends to reduce how much food you eat. It also slows down how quickly food moves from your stomach into your intestines. That's called gastric emptying. That also helps you feel full longer. And beyond that, GLP-1 enhances insulin release, but only when blood sugar levels are high. It's glucose dependent, so it helps regulate blood sugar really efficiently.
Okay, so GLP-1 is like hitting the slow down button on your digestion and at the same time sending a strong memo to your brain's command center saying, yep, you're good, had enough, no need for more snacks.
That's a great way to put it. Exactly. It really helps manage cravings and appetite.
Makes sense. Okay, what about the second door, GIP?
Right. The second receptor is for GIP. That's glucose-dependent insulinotropic polypeptide. GIP plays a really interesting, maybe slightly more nuanced role in how your body manages calories, how it partitions them efficiently. What's really key about GIP is its ability to encourage nutrients, think glucose, fatty acids, to be preferentially stored in metabolically active tissues, like your muscle cells.
Instead of just going straight to fat cells.
Precisely. Instead of being shunted directly into fat cells for storage, it kind of helps your body prioritize where incoming calories go, guiding them toward energy use and storage in active lean tissues. And it seems to improve the overall health of fat cells, too.
So GIP is like your metabolism's GPS, just got a major software update, guiding nutrients to the useful places, like muscles, instead of straight to the storage unit in your fat cells.
I like that, a metabolic GPS update. That's clever. And yeah, quite distinct from just appetite suppression.
Okay, and the third one. This is where it gets a little more unusual, I think. This is what really sets Retatrutide apart, isn't it?
You're absolutely right. The third receptor is where Retatrutide truly distinguishes itself. It activates the Glucagon receptor. Now, when people hear Glucagon, their immediate thought is usually its natural role in the body, which is to raise blood sugar, right?
Right. Signaling delivered to release sugar when levels are low.
Exactly. But in Retatrutide, the glucagon receptor activation is fundamentally different. This is the most unusual and, frankly, potentially game-changing part of the mix. In this drug, the glucagon effect seems specifically engineered to stimulate the liver to increase overall energy expenditure.
Meaning burn more calories.
Yes, burn more calories. And also to promote the breakdown of stored fat, a process called lipolysis.
So wait, scratch that. You're saying it has a component that activates glucagon, which we think of as raising blood sugar, but here it's actually helping with fat breakdown and energy use without causing harmful spikes in blood sugar.
That's what the data suggests so far.
Wow, okay, that does sound like a paradox.
Yeah.
That was the point that initially made me really scratch my head. How can both things be true?
It does sound paradoxical, and it's a critical point we absolutely need to dive deeper into shortly. But yes, the research indicates that in Retatrutide, glucagon is activated in a very controlled way. It doesn't appear to cause those harmful spikes in blood sugar in the trial participants. What's truly fascinating here is how these three pathways are harmonized.
The symphony analogy again.
Exactly. It's not just three separate effects happening side by side. It's a true symphony of metabolic action. Each part influences and balances the others. It creates this comprehensive, unique physiological outcome. The combination is more than just the sum of its parts.
That's a powerful image, a metabolic symphony. And I think that synergy is what people are really trying to grasp.
Oh, yeah.
All right, with that understanding, here's where it gets really interesting for everyone listening. People want to know, does it actually work? And how well?
So let's talk about those early clinical trial results, specifically from that pivotal phase 2 study that generated so much buzz. Quick reminder, though, before we get into the numbers, these are early findings straight from the trials.
Very important reminder. They represent what has been observed under controlled research conditions. They're not guaranteed outcomes, not promises. So always talk to your healthcare provider. Okay. But based on these early findings, the numbers are, well, they're pretty compelling.
They certainly are. The headline number that really captured everyone's attention from that phase 2 trial was the average weight loss. People taking the highest studied dose of Retatrutide lost, on average, around 24% of their body weight.
24%.
24%. Over 48 weeks. That's nearly a quarter of their initial body weight in less than a year.
Wow.
And if you look even earlier, at the 24-week data point, the reduction was already significant. About 17.5%, suggests a pretty rapid initial response.
24% it's a really significant number. It's hard to overstate the potential impact of that kind of weight reduction for someone struggling with obesity. But it's super important to remember these are averages, right? What does average truly mean here? Why is that distinction so critical?
That's a critical point to hammer home. When we say averages, it's paramount to remember what that means. It means some people in the trial lost more weight than 24%. And some people lost less.
Right. It's not a guarantee.
Exactly. It's not a one-size-fits-all guarantee that everyone hits that mark. Individual responses to medications always vary. Genetics, lifestyle, other health conditions, how well you stick to the regimen, it all plays a role. An average gives us a broad sense of the drug's potential in a population, but personal outcomes will definitely differ. It really highlights that even with powerful tools, personalized care is essential.
Okay, so not a magic bullet guaranteeing the same result for everyone. Got it. But the average observed is still incredibly impressive, especially compared to what we've seen historically. But it's not just about the number on the scale, is it? The studies also reported significant reductions in that deep abdominal fat, visceral fat, the really unhealthy stuff. Can you talk about why that's so important?
Absolutely. Reducing visceral fat, that deep fat surrounding your organs, is profoundly important. It goes way beyond just how you look. This type of fat is highly metabolically active. It almost acts like its own endocrine organ, churning out inflammatory molecules.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it contributes significantly to conditions like insulin resistance, heart disease, certain cancers, type 2 diabetes. The list goes on. So seeing a substantial reduction in visceral fat, that has huge potential benefits for overall metabolic health, far beyond just the scale number. It's targeting the unhealthy fat.
And here's a real jaw dropper for me. The study showed up to 80% reductions in liver fat by week 24 in some participants.
Yes.
80%.
Yeah.
That sounds like a huge deal for overall metabolic health, especially with fatty liver disease being so common now. That almost sounds revolutionary.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, yeah, reducing visceral and especially liver fat is truly crucial. It has profound implications. Fatty liver disease, it's now officially called metabolic dysfunction-associated steatotic liver disease, or MASLD.
MSLD. Used to be NSLD, right? Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease.
That's the one. You might remember the old name, NAFLD. It's a growing global epidemic, affects millions, often silently progressing to really serious liver problems, things like cirrhosis, liver failure, even liver cancer. Finding effective ways to reverse or significantly cut down liver fat is a major unmet medical need. So these early results are incredibly promising in that context.
Again, though, gotta stress this, these findings are preliminary.
Absolutely.
They need to be confirmed in much larger, longer phase 3 studies before we get too carried away thinking this is a done deal or available soon.
Precisely. And just to be crystal clear, Retatrutide is not approved for any condition right now. It's still in the investigation phase. It's being rigorously tested for safety, for efficacy, all these promising results. They're part of that ongoing research that will eventually determine its role, if any, in clinical practice, and for which specific conditions it might get approved.
Okay, let's circle back to that paradox we touched on, because this is the question I heard buzzing around too, and it's the one that made me pause. How can a drug with glucagon in it possibly lower blood sugar or improve glucose metabolism? Isn't glucagon supposed to raise it? It sounds totally contradictory, right? We mentioned it earlier, but I think we need to really clear this up now.
It does raise an extremely important question, and it's where the elegance and the sophisticated engineering of retatrutide's design really come into focus. You're absolutely right to point out that normally endogenous glucagon, the stuff your body makes, its main job is to raise blood sugar when it's too low, usually by telling the liver, hey, release some stored glucose. But in this drug, the glucagon effect isn't acting alone, and it's not mimicking an uncontrolled surge of natural glucagon. It's carefully balanced. It's exquisitely modulated by the simultaneous GLP-1 and GIP activation. It's part of that finely tuned system we talked about. The effects are synergistic, not just additive.
So it's not just blasting glucagon into your system randomly. It's about how it interacts, how it integrates with the other two pathways. This is the symphony in action, right?
Exactly. Let's elaborate on that balance a bit more. Remember GLP-1. It plays a huge role in glucose regulation. It slows down how quickly glucose gets absorbed from your gut after you eat. That helps prevent those sharp post-meal blood sugar spikes. And critically, it strongly enhances insulin release, but only when blood sugar is up. That glucose-dependent thing again. So it helps your body process incoming sugar more efficiently, more appropriately, like a smart insulin booster.
Okay, so GLP-1 is actively managing the sugar coming in from food and supercharging insulin to do its job, but only when needed. Got it.
That's right. Then you've got GIP. GIP also potently boosts insulin secretion, and again, in that glucose-dependent way. This is a really crucial safety feature. It means GIP only helps stimulate insulin when glucose levels are actually high, like after a meal.
So it won't push you into dangerous low blood sugar.
Exactly. It's not pushing your body into hypoglycemia unnecessarily. That's a big concern with some older diabetes meds that just boost insulin all the time. GIP acts more like a clever regulator, responding precisely to your body's actual glucose load.
Okay, so both GLP-1 and GIP are working very intelligently to bring blood sugar down, or at least manage it efficiently after meals. Now, back to the glucagon. How does its action, which usually raises blood sugar, fit into this whole blood sugar lowering, fat burning picture? What's the trick?
And this is the key part, the glucagon receptor activation here. It appears to be specifically geared towards increasing overall energy expenditure and fat breakdown through pathways like thermogenesis, literally generating heat, burning calories, and enhanced lipolysis, which is fat breakdown in your fat tissue.
So it's telling the body to use energy, burn fat.
Essentially, yes. It's stimulating the liver and fat cells to use and release energy from stored fat. It's not primarily triggering those big, harmful glucose increases we associate with natural glucagon surges when your blood sugar is low. The way the drug seems engineered, it achieves a kind of selective activation of glucagon's metabolic effects, prioritizing its fat-burning and energy-spending properties, while the powerful glucose-lowering effects of GLP-1 and GIP effectively counteract or maybe even override any potential rise in blood sugar from the glucagon part.
Wow. That is elegant biological engineering. So it's like glucagon's usual alarm bell for low blood sugar is still technically there, but GLP-1 and GIP are constantly hitting the mute button on that specific effect while letting the burn fat and boost metabolism signals come through loud and clear.
That's a fantastic analogy, a very controlled, targeted activation. And what we've actually observed in the trials strongly supports this idea. Participants, including those who already had type 2 diabetes or prediabetes when they started the study, they actually saw significant improvements in their fasting glucose and their post-meal glucose levels.
Improvements, even with the glucagon.
Yes, improvements. That's a big deal.
Right.
It shows the net effect, even with that glucagon activation, is overwhelmingly beneficial for blood sugar control, not harmful. It really points to that sophisticated interplay.
But here we go again. Like everything else we've discussed, these are still early findings.
Still early.
They absolutely require more evidence from larger, longer studies. We need to confirm these effects across a wider, more diverse group of people and really understand the long-term metabolic adaptations. We just can't overstate that investigational status.
Agreed. The early data is compelling, incredibly exciting even, but the full picture, its long-term effects on glucose management, cardiovascular outcomes, overall health, that will only emerge with more extensive research. Science moves rigorously, step by careful step.
Now that we've really got a handle on what Retatrutide is and how its unique triple action mechanism works, let's put it side by side with some of the medications you might already know, the ones making a big impact right now. Like semaglutide, you probably know it as Ozempic or Wegovy, and tirzepatide, known as Mounjaro or Zepbound. How do they actually work differently, mechanistically? What does the battle of the agonists look like at the molecular level?
Okay, yeah, let's compare. But first, just another quick important note here.
Disclaimer time.
Disclaimer time. We're discussing and comparing mechanisms and reported study results here purely for educational purposes. We are absolutely not prescribing anything. Your individual health journey is unique. All these are powerful medications. They should only be discussed and decided upon with your own licensed healthcare provider. This is about understanding the science, not making personal medical decisions.
Got it.
Got it.
Crystal clear. That foundation is key. So let's break down those differences in their agonist pathways.
Yeah.
Start with the ones people know best. Maybe semaglutide.
Okay. Semaglutide, which has been around a bit longer, widely used for both type 2 diabetes and weight loss. It activates only GLP-1 receptors.
So a single action hero.
You could say that. Primarily focused on that GLP-1 pathway. Appetite, slowing the stomach, boosting insulin when needed.
Okay. Then tirzepatide came along.
Right, tirzepatide represents an evolution in this class. It steps it up a notch. It's a dual agonist, meaning it activates both GLP-1 and GIP receptors.
Ah, so GLP-1 plus GIP.
Exactly. So with tirzepatide, you get those strong GLP-1 effects on appetite and stomach emptying, but you also get GIP's unique role, improving insulin response, especially in peripheral tissues, guiding nutrients towards muscle, promoting healthier fat tissue function. It's a more comprehensive metabolic signal.
And then Retatrutide, our focus today, takes it one step further still, activating GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon receptors.
Correct.
So it literally have an extra pathway compared to tirzepatide and 2 extra compared to semaglutide. That clearly implies a more complex interplay of effects. So Retatrutide has this third piece, the glucagon pathway, on top of GLP-1 and GIP. What does that actually mean for how it works compared to the others? Is it just inherently more powerful because it hits more targets? Or is there a special synergy from this specific combo?
Well, that extra pathway, the glucagon piece, could very well be the key. The key to explaining the larger average weight loss we've seen so far in its trials compared to the others. It's probably not just more is better in a simple sense. It seems to be about complementary actions.
Oh.
By activating 3 different yet carefully designed metabolic pathways, Retatrutide potentially offers a more comprehensive, more multifaceted approach to weight management and metabolic regulation. Imagine GLP-1 tackling appetite, GIP optimizing how nutrients are handled and improving insulin sensitivity, and then glucagon actively boosting energy expenditure and fat breakdown.
So it's hitting appetite, nutrient handling, and energy burning all at once.
That seems to be the idea. Hitting appetite control, nutrient partitioning, and overall energy use simultaneously. It's a broader, maybe more integrated attack on the really complex issues underlying obesity and metabolic problems.
That makes sense. More refined tools in the toolbox, potentially a stronger, more holistic effect.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. You mentioned earlier that more pathways could mean something else too. There's often a trade-off.
Yeah.
Or maybe a more complex safety profile to think about.
You're absolutely right to bring that up, and this is crucial for a balanced perspective. More pathways can also mean different side effects, or maybe additional ones. It's not necessarily a simple more is better equation when we talk about medications. Each activated receptor pathway could, theoretically, introduce its own set of potential interactions or adverse events, or maybe amplify existing ones from the other pathways.
So the triple action might be great for weight loss, but we need the full picture on side effects.
Exactly. While the triple action mechanism looks highly effective for weight loss in these early studies, the broader impact on the body, the full spectrum of its long-term safety, that's still being rigorously investigated. The complexity of hitting 3 distinct hormonal systems means we have to meticulously track all possible outcomes, short-term and long-term.
So we really still need a lot more comprehensive research. We need to truly understand the full safety profile, the long-term implications of activating all 3 pathways at the same time. It sounds powerful, but we need that full long-term picture from bigger groups of people.
Precisely. The phase 3 trials, those are the big ones. Significantly larger, longer duration, involving a much more diverse patient population. They will give us much more robust data on both efficacy and safety. Those trials are the definitive steps before any regulatory body would even consider approval.
Okay, let's cut to the chase for many people listening, especially those really focused on the weight loss aspect. How do the actual results compare? We're talking about those average weight loss percentages that really grab headlines and spark so many conversations. Again, just that quick reminder, these are study averages, not guaranteed outcomes for any single person, and definitely not medical advice. This is just the data as it stands from the big clinical trials available so far.
Okay. In the available trial data, the numbers tell a very interesting and kind of evolving story. For semaglutide, looking at its highest studied doses over a similar time frame, usually around 68 weeks for its weight loss indication trials, it produced an average body weight loss of around 15 to 20%.
Which is already significant, a game changer for many.
Absolutely. Then you have tirzepatide, the dual agonist. We talked about how it added that GIP component. That seemed to move the needle up a bit. Trials showed about 20 to 23% average weight loss, typically over about 72 weeks.
Okay, so a step up from semaglutide, showing the added benefit of hitting GIP too.
It seems that way. And then Retatrutide, as we mentioned, in its phase 2 study, averaged around 24% in the high-dose groups. And that was over just 48 weeks.
48 weeks? Shorter time frame too.
Right. So numerically, based on the data we have so far, it currently sits at the top of that list among the 3. It really highlights the potential impact, the additional leverage perhaps offered by adding that third pathway, the glucagon receptor activation, at least in the short to medium term observed in these trials.
It certainly stands out in terms of the reported percentages, hitting that remarkable 24%. But it's not just about the final percentage, is it? You mentioned speed earlier. The speed of weight loss also seemed different. Retatrutide showed larger early drops in weight.
It did.
Which, on the surface sounds fantastic. Great for motivation, maybe immediate health benefit.
It does sound great initially, and people often do want to see results quickly. However, and here's the thing, faster isn't always unequivocally better, especially when we talk about the composition of that weight loss.
What do you mean by composition?
I mean, how much of the weight lost is fat versus how much is muscle or lean body mass. Greater early loss, especially very rapid weight loss, can sometimes be associated with losing a higher proportion of lean muscle mass.
Oh, And that's not good.
No, that's a real concern for long-term health. We want people to lose fat, especially that harmful visceral and liver fat we talked about. We don't want them losing precious muscle.
Wait, scratch that. So are you saying people taking Retatrutide actually saw greater lean mass reduction compared to the other medications in one trial?
That was a finding reported in one analysis, yes. Greater reduction in lean mass.
That's a really notable point. Potentially surprising for listeners just looking at the total pounds lost number. That changes the nuance quite a bit, doesn't it?
It is indeed a very important nuance, and it highlights why these deep dives into the actual trial data beyond the headlines are so crucial. Preserving muscle during weight loss is incredibly important for long-term health, for keeping your metabolism humming, for sustaining that weight loss over time.
Because muscle burns more calories.
Exactly. Muscle tissue is metabolically active. It burns more calories even when you're just sitting there compared to fat tissue. Losing too much muscle can actually make it harder to sustain weight loss in the long run. It can impact your strength, your mobility, your overall vitality, and it might even predispose you to regaining weight later. So while the total weight loss with Retatrutide is highly impressive, the composition of that weight loss, how much is fat versus muscle, is definitely something that needs continued attention and research in the larger, longer studies. It's about the quality of the weight loss, not just the quantity.
Yeah, that's a really key takeaway. Quality over just quantity. Hey, if you're finding this deep dive helpful, if it's clarifying some of this complex science behind these new medications, please hit subscribe so you'll catch the next breakdown we do on tricky health topics. And honestly, if you know someone who's been asking about these new medications, maybe trying to sort through all the hype online, do them a favor and share this with them. You could really help them get the facts straight, get a more informed perspective. All right, so beyond just weight and glucose control, which are obviously huge benefits, are researchers looking at other potential upsides for Retatrutide? Are there other ways it could impact our health that go beyond just the scale or blood sugar numbers, maybe hinting at an even broader therapeutic reach?
Absolutely. In addition to those impressive weight and glucose effects, researchers are really digging into Retatrutide's impact on liver health. This is a particularly significant area because liver disease, especially fatty liver, is becoming incredibly common worldwide. It's a major public health challenge.
What specific liver condition are they mainly looking at? And why is that one so important?
They're specifically looking at MASLD, metabolic dysfunction-associated steatotic liver disease.
Right, the new name for NOSA-LED.
Exactly. As we mentioned, you might know the old name, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. In those early trials, participants who had excess liver fat when they started, they saw truly substantial reductions. Remember that up to 80% reduction figure we talked about?
Yeah, that was staggering.
It really was. This could have incredibly significant implications for managing MASLD, which, like I said, is a rapidly growing health concern globally. If it's left unchecked, MASLD can progress. It can turn into NASH, that's metabolic dysfunction-associated steatohepatitis, basically fatty liver with inflammation.
And NASH is more serious.
Much more serious. NASH can then lead to liver cirrhosis, which is scarring, liver failure, or even liver cancer. So finding effective treatments for MASLD, especially treatments that can actually reverse some of that fat buildup, that's a monumental medical need. And these early findings for Retatrutide are incredibly encouraging on that front.
But, gotta emphasize again, right, even if it looks incredibly promising for liver fat, it's not approved for this specific use yet. These are still exploratory findings from the main trials.
Exactly right. Any potential benefits specifically for MASLD will need to be rigorously confirmed. That requires larger, future, dedicated phase 3 studies that focus specifically on liver disease outcomes over time. It's very promising data, yes. It opens up new avenues for research, but it's still investigational. It hasn't received any regulatory approval for treating liver disease. The research is ongoing to really establish its full potential across multiple metabolic dimensions.
Okay. Now, every medication, no matter how effective it seems, has side effects. Super important we talk about those transparently, realistically.
Right.
What are people actually experiencing with Retatrutide in these trials? Because stronger effects often come with some trade-offs in terms of tolerability, don't they?
You're absolutely right. Transparency about side effects is critical for anyone considering a medication and for doctors prescribing them. As we've seen with other GLP-1 and GIP-based drugs, the most common side effects reported with Retatrutide were predominantly gastrointestinal. GI issues.
Like nausea, vomiting.
Exactly. Nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, those tend to be the main ones. These are pretty typical for this class of medication. Their mechanism involves slowing down the digestive process, right? So that can sometimes lead to these symptoms, especially when first starting the treatment or when increasing the dose.
So kind of similar to what we've heard about semaglutide and tirzepatide in terms of the common GI stuff.
Yeah.
But was there anything that stood out specifically for Retatrutide, maybe in terms of overall tolerability or the rate at which people actually had to stop taking the drug? How did it compare there?
That's a good question. And yes, there was a notable point in the trials so far regarding tolerability. The rate of discontinuation, meaning people stopping the drug because of side effects, was actually reported as higher with retatrutide compared to what's generally been observed in trials for semaglutide or tirzepatide.
Wait, scratch that. So people are dropping out of the Retatrutide trials at a higher rate because of side effects, even with those really strong efficacy numbers.
That's what the initial data suggested, yes. A higher discontinuation rate due to adverse events.
Wow. That's a very notable point, especially for a drug showing such promising weight loss. It suggests there might be a more significant trade-off in tolerability for some individuals compared to the other options.
It is indeed. It suggests that while the effects might be stronger, the tolerability profile for some individuals might be, let's say, a bit more challenging. It might require more careful, slower dose titration, or it might simply be less manageable for certain patients. This really highlights the importance of individualized treatment decisions and very careful management of side effects once a drug like this is approved and available. It's a key factor in whether someone can stick with the treatment long term.
Absolutely. And were there any other, maybe more serious, though less common, issues reported that listeners should be aware of, even if they are rare?
Yes. Beyond the common GI issues, some participants also experienced gallbladder-related problems, things like gallstones. And in rare cases, pancreatitis, which is inflammation of the pancreas, was also reported.
Okay. Pancreatitis sounds serious.
It is serious. These are less common, but potentially serious adverse events.
Right.
There are also known potential risks associated with the broader class of GLP-1 agonists, so they aren't entirely unexpected, but they definitely require careful monitoring and awareness.
And again, we have to put this in context, right?
Yeah.
What does rare really mean in these early trials? Given the limited number of participants compared to the real world, how will that understanding likely evolve?
Exactly. Context is everything here. These findings are from limited trial populations, mostly phase 2 studies. It's a snapshot, not the full, definitive picture of its safety in the broader population. Larger, more comprehensive. Phase 3 studies, the ones with thousands of participants observed over much longer periods, are absolutely needed. They will confirm the full safety profile and help us understand the true incidence rate of these less common but more serious side effects across a much wider, more diverse patient population. We'll get a much clearer understanding of the overall risk-benefit profile as more extensive data becomes available over the next few years. And just to be clear one more time, this information is purely for educational purposes. Always have these detailed conversations about potential risks and benefits with your own licensed healthcare provider. They're the only ones who can assess your specific health situation and determine if any medication is appropriate for you.
Okay, so we've taken a pretty deep dive here. We've unpacked the mechanisms, the early results, the comparisons, the side effects. Let's try to bring it all together now. What's the balanced takeaway for our listener right now, based on everything we've discussed and where the research currently stands?
Well, this deep dive has definitely shown us that retatrutide is, without a doubt, one of the most closely watched investigational medications in the whole field of metabolic health right now. It's triple hormone action, hitting GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon. That's truly novel. It represents a significant scientific advancement, a new way of thinking about targeting these pathways, and those early trial results, especially regarding the sheer magnitude of weight loss and that profound reduction in liver fat. They've certainly raised a lot of interest, a lot of excitement in the medical community and beyond. It really represents a potent new approach.
But, and this is the crucial part we keep coming back to, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is not approved yet. Not for any condition, by regulatory bodies like the FDA or others.
Precisely. That is the absolute bottom line right now. It's not approved. Its long-term safety profile is not yet fully known. The trials are still ongoing. They need to run for longer durations with many, many more participants to really understand the long-term effects. And as we've stressed throughout, outcomes will vary significantly for individuals. There's no magic bullet here. There's just promising science that still needs to prove its real-world efficacy, its safety, and its long-term sustainability in broad populations. There are still many unknowns that need to be resolved in the coming years.
So it's a very exciting development, absolutely, pushing the boundaries of what we thought might be possible in metabolic medicine,
Yeah.
but still very much in that rigorous research phase.
Exactly. Whether Retatrutide ultimately proves to be a major advance, perhaps even the best in class for certain types of patients, or maybe just one important option among many in the evolving landscape of obesity and metabolic disease treatments, that will depend entirely on the results of those large, long phase 3 trials. That's where we'll get the definitive answers, the answers that will shape future clinical practice.
So it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? As we get more of these multi-agonist drugs, moving from single targets to dual action like tirzepatide and now triple action with Retatrutide, is the future of weight management and metabolic health going to be less about finding one single magic target and more about using these complex, almost orchestra-like medications? Medications that are maybe perfectly tuned to individual metabolic needs, addressing multiple facets of the disease all at once. It feels like we're moving towards a much more sophisticated, maybe more personalized understanding of how to manage these really complex conditions.
It definitely raises important questions, not just for drug therapy, but for how we approach health holistically. What does sustainability mean? Accessibility. What about long-term safety when using such powerful metabolic tools over many years, or even decades? We're certainly entering a fascinating new era of metabolic medicine, an era that's going to demand continuous learning and adaptation from clinicians, researchers, and patients alike.
Once again, and we truly cannot stress this enough, this information is for educational purposes only. It is not, and never will be, a recommendation for or against any specific treatment. Your health journey is personal. You always need to talk with your own licensed healthcare provider before making any changes to your health plan, especially when it comes to medications. They are the best, and really the only, resource for personalized medical advice. If you found this deep dive valuable, if it helps you understand something complex more clearly, maybe help to cut through some of the noise online, please drop your questions in the comments below. We genuinely love to know what's on your mind as you process all this information. And yes, please, like, subscribe, and share this with your friends, your family, anyone you think might find it useful. That feedback is incredibly important to us. It helps us know we're on the right track, and it motivates us to keep bringing you these in-depth breakdowns.